let's bring the senator back in. Senator, I want to ask you about Iran specifically because William laid it out really well there. Under President Trump, essentially, we had a maximum pressure campaign with sanctions that were being enforced, and you basically had Iran at a point where the regime was about to collapse financially. The currency had completely tanked. Revenue was not coming in. Then President Biden comes into office, and the next thing you know, they've been enriched to the tune of billions of dollars. Once again, by the way, as our energy industry here has been completely crippled. So when you think about how we started the program, and you mentioned the foreign policy blunders that have led us here, the president has practically led us here himself.
Well, here are the facts. You laid them out. President Trump put tough sanctions on Iran so it couldn't export its oil. Those sanctions are still there, but President Biden hasn't enforced them. So now, instead of exporting 500 or producing and exporting 500,000 barrels a day, Iran's exporting 1.4 million a day, and its foreign reserves have doubled. We had Iran down, and we were choking them economically. President Biden, because he thought if he was a nice guy, Iran would cooperate in terms of its nuclear weapons. He let them up. And on top of it, he tried to give them $6 billion cash, and he gave them another $4.5 billion that they have through dividends at the International Monetary Fund.
Yeah.
And that's where the money is coming from to attack Israel by Hamas. Right. I mean, those are just the facts. The president can deny them, but you can't dispute them.
You know, Senator, what's frustrating to me is in William Lajeunesse report, he's talking about Joe Biden saying that the sanctions are difficult. And he also says that securing the border is challenging and difficult. We could believe that if we didn't have 4 years before Donald Trump stepping in and actually, with the same rules and same money, securing the border, and with the same restrictions, actually able to enforce sanctions on Iran. So they tell us one thing. I would argue they are lying to us, and they actually can enforce the sanctions. They can enforce the southern border, but they're just choosing not to.
Well, I don't know who's lying and who's not. All I can do is look at behavior, because what you do is what you believe, and everything else is just cottage cheese. When I look at President Biden, in terms of his international affairs, national security, and his domestic policy over the last 2 years and change, if it were my father, I'd take away his car keys, much less the entire country. And I think that's what most Americans are thinking right now, and I think that's why President Biden polls right up there with Bud Light at the moment.
You know, I would cut the cards with Joe Biden, Senator. Cut the cards with Joe Biden. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him. And well said. Senator John Kennedy, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for joining us on The Bottom Line. We appreciate it.
Thank you.